You're absolutely right about the organism. And practical advice on focusing on one main area at a time, even specifying a focus. Like you're very good at that. You could say, if the organism has a particular anatomy, you're the kind of person to know to say, oh, referring to the teeth, this is what's happening. Or referring to your current knee pain because you have a worn down molars and stuff, your body's slightly misaligned and trying to compensate for that stress. And also, depending on how you walk, to manage that stress, say your environment, now you're having particular knee pain because your body is slightly misaligned or because your molars are worn down. So you specify, then you trace it to, you could say, whatever it is you find, you specify, then you trace the diagnosis you're trying to give. You can, as a result, come back and note the different parts of the body that unfold as towards the diagnosis that you're giving. Overall, the knee pain, overall the problem, overall the interest, overall the focus, overall just whether what category of I guess communication this is, whether it's exploration or discovery or wit, banter, or even just being nonsensical for the sake of fun and humor. So I think with you, since I kind of don't usually track these things, it kind of has a default whenever I meet people who are intellectually gifted. My default kind of leaves play mode and goes more towards discovery mode more often than not. Because you could say there's a sense in which I'm frankly usually deprived of this. That's the best way I can put it. So it becomes a sense of like, oh, okay. But then some of it is also, I have like layers of trauma, like the danger of seeing what others don't. Also my spiritual oppression, even like lots of my current intellectual skills developing as a trauma response in many ways. So my abilities are very much fused with pain. It's one of those things. It's like, okay, but God's trying to heal that and make that not be for him and come from an overflow of joy and love. So that's also what you're dealing with, where it's like, oh, this guy's very like reactive, but it's like because that's why I relate to Wittgenstein, a man that was suicidal throughout most of his life and also demonically oppressed, but he wasn't aware of it. Stuff like that, So it's just one of those things. So that's also what you're dealing with. Also, just like tending to assume people can kind of perceive and follow what it is I'm going towards. Also, just having like a very, I guess, quick mind. It's layered and intricate, but it's also very fast. So as a result, it's like it's easy to go through those layers quickly. Though sometimes I can stretch myself, of course, if I'm like being reactive and so on and not pacing myself. So what I'm actually aiming for now is more steadiness. Because even as I talk to you, I still get oppressed. It's just all sorts of stuff that's built into my very nervous system. My very body responds to me with codes that gestures the demons control how I perceive the environment, how my story gets messed with, how I decrypt meanings, how I may read or decrypt where my attention goes or words that pop up. Like my autocorrect pops up with certain images to show me the demons mocking me on it goes. So it's like I'm dealing with this day to day, in and out. So yeah, I bet you can get, like, if you were dealing with this, like actually simulate, imagine what would happen if I knew I was constantly being communicated with, somewhat controlled, disrupted, developing with God and in God, but also being blocked from God in some ways too, and distorted and confused. And yet it works out well, but also it just causes you a lot of pain and isolation. Hence the video I sent you, the danger of seeing what others don't. So a lot of it is also learning to train my discernment and learning to keep gates closed, because I'm hypersensitive now to spiritual interference, because they're trying to take me out, because God wants me to do things for him, and that's just how it is. So all of those things layered and compound and so on. As far as the organisms things go, it's very much on point. It's just more like the rest is just tracking the anatomy, and you could say kinesiology, the movement of the organism. You have a sense of what an organism can and can't do, depending on the organism's, say, proportions, its weight, and its how it interfaces with their environment, and how it receives communication from the environment. Because you put it as the organism responds. I'll extend that metaphor. It responds because it's being communicated to. You could say sunlight and water and soil are basically cheerleaders that encourage you to grow while giving you the means to grow. It's like a parent who's like your mom breastfeeding you. They'll be like, oh, little baby, singing to you lullabies so you can grow strong and healthy and feel loved. So there's a nurturing feature, there's a cherishing feature to an organism responding. Because notice you use that word responding. That's a metaphor. So the completion of that metaphor is who's the organism responding to? The environment. How are they responding? Is the environment communicating to them? Of course, because this is communicated. An organism is organized by the organizer, the logos, the organizer of organisms, organs, and orgasms. So that's a feature of the order, the teleos. And so yeah,